All right, I think it's safe to say that we're live. I think we are live to the people of LinkedIn and to the people in Virginia. Welcome, everybody. I think we're going to give just a few seconds, a few moments here to let everybody funnel in before we start our roundtable discussion today. Today, we've gathered two special guests, John Worthington and Stephanie Agee, today to talk about the online world, international business development tools to help Virginia companies. And really all U.S. companies and exporters to continue to grow their exports, their sales, their brand, and their business. So in today's discussion, we're going to be talking about a few best practices that are going to be relevant to exporters now and for the upcoming years, and trends that we're going to be seeing for the time being. So without, before we start the discussion, I'm going to pass it over to Stephanie to introduce herself, and likewise to John. We'll set the table and then we'll dive right into the discussion afterwards. So Stephanie, please.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Andrew, and good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to be joining this conversation today with my good friend, John. My name is Stephanie Agee, and I'm the Vice President of International Trade at the Virginia Economic Development Partnership. VEDP is Virginia's Economic Development Authority, and my team focuses specifically on helping Virginia exporters grow their international sales faster, more efficiently, and at a lower cost than they can do on their own. We have a range of programs and resources that are designed to do that, some of which we'll talk a little bit more about in our conversation here. One of which is a great program, the Virginia Online Global Program, where we partner with IBT Online to deliver that service to Virginia companies. But for now, I'm going to turn it over to John to introduce himself, and then I'm excited to get our discussion going.
Stephanie, thank you so much. Andrew, thank you for the introduction. Stephanie, what a pleasure today to be talking about the VEDP and all of the great programs that you have. My name is John Worthington. I'm CEO at IBT Online, and really it is a huge pleasure to be talking about the state of Virginia, the programs that Virginia has to help Virginia companies grow their export sales, brands, and business. And indeed, one of them is online. It's the Virginia Online Global Programs. And thanks to Stephanie and the team of international trade managers who we absolutely love working with, phenomenal team out there to help companies succeed. We've got some great information to share later in this program. We got some success stories to share, and hopefully some takeaways that'll be useful to companies to say, hey, do think about what the VEDP offers. A phenomenal range of programs, some very, very meaningful grants, and all of that with the express objective to help you succeed internationally. So thank you. That's the end of my little intro. So Andrew, back to you, sir.
John, thank you so much. Stephanie, thank you for the introductions of you both. Today's discussion, ultimately I am the moderator for today's roundtable. And I know that we're going live here on LinkedIn and a few different other social media platforms. So please feel free to drop your questions in. We want to make this a collaborative conversation. We have a few questions that I guess get the conversation started, but if you have any engagement, please do let us know, and we can include this into our conversation. And then just last thing to point out here, we're going to keep you guys here for about 15 to 30 minutes. So plan on that, and we'll be building our conversation around that. So just a word on myself as a moderator. My name is Andrew, and part of the business development team with IBT Online, and happy to be hosting here Stephanie and John. And without further ado, Stephanie, I think the first question we have here is for yourself. And it is ultimately, in today's environment, is exporting as important as it was before the pandemic? And if it is, how are companies pursuing international business in this challenging environment?
Yeah, thanks so much for asking that question, Andrew, because I think it's really worthwhile to consider. We are in a new phase of business, a new phase of the international economy. And so I think it's really important to ask that question. Is it as important right now? And the short answer is yes. Absolutely yes. And I can say that from a few different perspectives. First, what we're seeing from the mostly small and medium-sized Virginia companies that we work with is that they absolutely rely on international sales to meet their revenue goals. These companies aren't just doing this because it's fun. There is a fun aspect to it, but it's really tough work. And they're doing it though because they need those sales. And that change, that necessity has not changed in the last 2 years, despite what we've seen with the pandemic. I think, we could say that the concept of globalization may have taken a hit by some anyway in the last 2 years, just due in part to the massive supply chain struggles that we've all experienced. But I don't see that impacting companies' desire to go after international business or the necessity of that business to their bottom lines. And then I'd also argue that the last 2 years have proven that having a diverse set of markets to sell into, and not just relying on sales to your home market or maybe one export market, is extremely important. We all watched the pandemic hit countries at different times and impact their purchasing and production cycles in waves. So having other markets to pivot to sell into while others were being hit the hardest has proven to be super important for companies just to maintain steady sales volumes. And then in answer to the question of, well, how, how are companies pursuing international business in this time, given the challenges we've seen, it's always been difficult for small and medium-sized companies to do international business, but I think it's only become more difficult. And so they've been asking for more help, figuring out how to adapt to the current environment, the new challenges, and most importantly, how do they meet and maintain relationships with customers and multipliers around the world? So during the first year to maybe 18 months or so of the pandemic, we did a ton of market research for companies, making sure that our clients had really all their ducks in a row, so to speak, so that when the world opened up and when travel was possible again, they would be ready to go, ready to get to their target markets, meet the demands that we identified via that market research. But that still, as we move into this next phase, that's not changed either. Doing your homework, getting market intelligence, competitive analysis, understanding regulatory hurdles, getting your marketing shipshape is still just as important, even as travel opens back up. And we emphasize that with all of the companies that we work with. So John, I'd love to get your perspective on all of this. What are you seeing in terms of the importance of exports?
Stephanie, and I share absolutely what you've just said, and I would just sort of emphasize the fact that those important skill sets, tools, the information, the VDP and your team do that so very well. I mean, that's what you guys do so brilliantly for Virginia companies. And so, what a helping hand. It's true. I mean, we've worked long enough together, and IBT Online is so proud to be a part of your Valley program over the past years. We've seen it in action, and so we're talking about it. But IBT Online, I would say to you also as well, we work with the US Commercial Services. We're very grateful to the US Commercial Services. We're very proud they offered us and gave us the President's E Award for export services to US companies, and as a recognition of the program. So often we go to the US Commercial Services to answer some of these questions. And if you go to the shall we say, the homepage there, you'll find them identifying 4 reasons. Number one, they state 95% of the world's consumers are outside the US. And that number, just think of the opportunities if you're going to shut the door on that. And don't shut the door on that, open that door and go through. And as they say, it's never been easier to do so than today. Foreign competition is increasingly domestic. And this is true. Look around you and see that. And again, this internationalization that the VDP can bring to you will help you win that competitive world. And exporting, as Stephanie said, is profitable. That revenue that can come in with the cost centers remaining the same can sometimes go straight to the bottom line. And we've seen that for companies. They can take that international revenue while keeping their costs managed. And number 4, exporting helps companies learn to compete. And if we can help you to do that, if the VDP can help you to do that, we're really going to begin to win the game and help companies be successful, which is, our common aligned objective. So, Stephanie, thank you for that. And Andrew, back to you, sir.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you for the back and forth. Some really interesting comments there, and that really falls into my next question, and it's for you, John. And I know that you were kind of touching on it just briefly, but why do you think that companies now need to focus on digital solutions to really capture this wave of exporting their new sales and ultimately getting new customers?
So please, I would say essentially there are four pieces of that. We see four essential elements. Number one, just look at the world of new technologies. Just cast your mind back 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. There are toolkits out there that are enabling you to do things that you just couldn't do before. Think of the web, what the web has brought, the different platforms, the software, the service provider, the mobile devices. So technology, use it. Number one, technology. Please use it. Be aware of what is out there. Number two, we've all had a miserable experience. I don't know what your personal experience has been over the past 2 years with COVID, but it's clearly not been fun for anybody. It's not been fun for societies. It's not been fun for individuals and corporations alike. It's been a very miserable time. And amongst the other things that we've learned is how everybody has pivoted to online. People talk about the pivot to online, driven by COVID. McKinsey's called it the Great Accelerator. They claim that in the 2 years that we've all been hunkering down, we've sort of done 10 years in terms of taking up online. And that's, there's some real evidence around that. Look at what's happened to Amazon and look how we've all onboarded into e-commerce. At every generations, older generations, lockdown, learning to use e-commerce and ordering. Look at Zoom. I mean, before then, I'd never done a Zoom meeting. Now I wind up in Zoom meetings all the time. We're all Zoomers. How did that happen? And so it's a changing COVID-driven world. And that has taught people new lessons that they're not about to forget. Number three, going to Stephanie's point about business travel. Amex Business Travel says in 2020, business travel was down 71%. They tell us they're not expecting business travel to come back to pre-COVID levels till 2025. Multiple reasons behind that, but I mean, I don't know about anybody who's traveling at the moment, but I have to say, getting on an aircraft is a permanent experience of delays and things going wrong, and bags. I was stuck waiting for bags to be unloaded because COVID-related problems, travel-related problems. Unfortunately, they're still with us. So again, another imperative: please look at digital. And finally, and perhaps most interesting, is the new generations that are coming forward. We're now into the generations of the millennials born 81 to 96. They're more digital than ever. They're decision makers. They're now between 26 and 41 years old. And these people are driving it all, let alone Gen Z. And they're all coming through. So the generations coming in now, they're younger, they're more technology aware, and they're using technology. So again, please, four sort of reasons that we give that we think underpin this pivot to digital. Stephanie, your view, please.
Oh, John, I just, I have nothing to add. I mean, that's perfect. Those are all extremely salient examples and reasons why digital is so important. I would just say the only other thing really to add there is just, when we do put people on planes, when our clients and others do get on planes to go visit new customers, you can be sure that those people you're meeting have looked you up. They've looked up your company. They are finding your website. They're trying to find their website. They're hoping they can find it in their country. But if they have trouble accessing it, that's going to be a problem. I mean, the pre-work done before, I think, in-person meetings is just gotten even more. And there's a higher expectation that a company understand before you even walk in the door really who you are and what you're representing. And digital is really the only way to give them that information prior to that sales call. So I think that's another really just reason why it's just gotten more and more important.
And
yeah, John.
Stephanie, if I may jump in, I do think it's exciting. It's that sort of combo piece because, as you say, and I know, Stephanie, you're taking 10 Virginia companies to London in the first week of May. And that's just a great opportunity. It's to do both together. It's to absolutely do that. I know that you'll be welcomed, lots of excellent meetings and those face-to-face meetings. But when you can do the two, it's the ideal combo. So, I'm looking forward to seeing you in London in the first week of May. Andrew.
Same here.
Wonderful. Yeah, great back and forth tonight. And John, I think I was going to say the same thing as far as the combination between, digital and travel. And when things come together, I think it's going to be a great synergy. All of what the pandemic has really taught us as far as the importance of digital solutions. The next question that we have here is for you, Stephanie. And it's, how would you recommend companies shape their strategy to continue to meet new customers and continue to stay top of mind for the prospects?
Yeah, good question. I think it's really going to build on what John and I were just saying, and I'll do that here. This is something we deal with every single day, and this is something we help our clients with every single day, before the pandemic, during, and now as we go into this next phase. It is just such a challenge for so many small and medium-sized companies who usually don't have large marketing budgets, to figure out, how do I both meet new contacts internationally, connect with them, but then also stay in touch with and top of mind for the contacts that I already have. So again, as we move forward into this next phase, it's going to take a multi-pronged approach, which we've just discussed. Our clients, we're seeing them eager to get back on planes, back out to their target markets to meet new and prospective customers in person. I've seen what John is talking about with the reporting on business travel, and I think that's absolutely true. Business travel is going to take a really long time to get back. But I think mostly small and medium-sized companies whose travel is really more about meeting new customers and maybe engaging with customers they already have, that's different than, say, if you're a multinational and you're going to, your UK office and thinking, well, am I going to am I going to take a plane and go to my New York office and meet with my folks there, or are we going to get on Zoom? But when you're talking about making new connections, I think that's where we will continue to see people traveling, and we're certainly seeing that with our client base. But so that's great. We're happy to facilitate in-person meetings for our clients, but we're also finding that the companies that we're aiming for them to meet with in their various target markets are really being very discerning about what meetings they take. Who is it worth their time to meet with? Now that they've gone through this whole period of realizing I can do a lot in this kind of video environment, I don't have to take every meeting that's proposed. So they're really being very critical of that. And so how do you convince your target customer that it's worth their time to meet with you? And that's where the second prong comes into play. You better have a well-defined, solid value proposition, being able to explain exactly what problems your product or service offers a solution for. And you absolutely have to have professional, targeted marketing materials that explain that value proposition clearly to your prospects. And because, again, they're going to be going online. They're going to be looking for information on you before you even walk in the door, before they've even said it's okay for you to walk in the door. So it's really important that your website, that your social media presence, that it represents you well, that you can be found in that target market, that it's not simply a US presence that you have online, that it is a very well-rounded presence that speaks to an international audience, and hopefully to the audience of the country that you're trying to to target. So because, again, they're going to be looking for you, looking on LinkedIn, looking on Twitter, Instagram, if it's applicable to your line of business, and it won't be for everyone, but you've got to know which social media channels are important in your industry, in your line of business, and make sure that you're there and that you're well represented there. So again, visiting market and seeing your customers face-to-face, I think that's still a super important part of your international strategy, but this digital aspect really just can't be ignored. And John, I'm sure you have much more to say on this topic, so I want to turn it over to you.
No, I mean, it's definitely, absolutely. Really, I'm just going to sort of continue onto that. And again, as IBT Online, we look around and we look for thought leaders, we look for organizations that can give some real pointers to help companies going forward. One of the companies that we love is a company called HubSpot. And so we attend a lot of the HubSpot learning sessions, and they come across with a couple of points, two particular points I'd like to share now. Number one, their view, and I guess it's sort of just, it kind of makes absolute sense. Their statement is, be where your prospects and customers are, or where they're going to be in an online sense. So if you've done that study and you know where your customers and prospects are, which online groups they're attending, which Stephanie mentioned, LinkedIn and other social media channels, HubSpot says, just be thoughtful about that and get where they are, where they're looking, how they're searching, and Google search what they're searching for. Make sure that they can find you in the search terms. Make sure that you are where they want to come and find you. It makes for a great experience. You will actually encounter them at the time that they want to encounter you, because they're looking for you, and there you are. And you can say, hey, I'm here, guys. What's your problem? How can I resolve it? So HubSpot's second point is bring value. So be where they're coming to you. So today, be found, be understood, and bring them value. Bring them something, bring them an asset, bring them a resource, bring them a solution to their problem, because their problems are pretty announced when they're looking. You can understand what their problems are. What are they looking for? And therefore, you come with some value. And I suppose the case study that I really found fun, casting your mind back, do you remember the days, sort of pre-web when you had to go and buy a car? And you had to go to a garage, and you had to look at a car. You had to walk around it, and you had to deal with a sales guy. And then if you didn't like what he's got, you got to get in your car and go to another garage and look at another brand, look at another car and understand it, what colors. And you were told that there are only 2 colors. Well, today you go online, you've got everything. And all the studies tell us that everybody making these purchase decisions, they've already researched it online. They've already done everything on the internet to find what they need. And when they walk into a garage, even if they do go to one, they know exactly what they want, the spec, the scope, the price, and everything. So the power today is with us in online. And therefore, use that power that you have to make yourself very, very visible, findable. So when people are searching, they can find you and engage with you and get down that buyer's journey to do business with you. Andrew.
Thank you, John. Waiting for my cue there. And yeah, some really great back and forth and appreciate kind of the best practices for what we're seeing in the digital world and kind of the effects for them. I know we're running close on time here, so we have a few moments for just a few more questions. Just to say, this question's for you, Stephanie. This is from the perspective of a Virginia-based exporter. How could they potentially tap into the resources that you provide, that the VEDP provides?
Yeah, absolutely. So really the first step is to start the conversation. And that starts with one of our regionally based international trade managers. So we have folks based throughout Virginia, and they are the key for companies to kind of sort of open the door to all that we have to offer. When you meet with a trade manager on our team, they really aim to meet you where you are in terms of your experience with exporting, and then help you get to that next level, right? So the reason why you're talking, why you might be interested in this program today, is because there's probably a next level you're trying to get to, and we want to help you get there. So if you're just getting started, or if you've been exporting, but maybe with more of a reactive approach, and you're interested in being more proactive and strategic in going after your international sales, that's what we'll help you do. The trade manager will ask you lots of questions, more importantly, listen to you, and then help you to sort of design and execute a strategy as simple or as detailed as you want it to be, to help you achieve your international goals using our resources, including market research that's customized to you. When we say market research, we're not just pulling a report off a shelf. We are having in-country partners design a market research study that's specific to you and your product or service. Our trade managers will introduce you to our schedule of trade missions, where you can travel to market and meet leads that have been vetted specifically for you. We will connect you to our network of service providers, including IBT Online and folks like them that are really there to help execute the parts of your international strategy that require specialized expertise. And most importantly, then, our trade managers can also determine which of our grant programs you might qualify for, that it'll help you cover the costs that go along with implementing an international strategy. And the Virginia Online Global Program is a great example, where we put companies directly in touch with you all at IBT Online. You all go to work to establish and maximize the company's online presence in market. And then our grant funding helps to pay for that work. So that's really the best way, is to get started by connecting with us. John, anything from your perspective to add to that?
I would just like to say that I got to this meeting, a kickoff meeting with a company called Ensco, introduced by John. And John, if you're listening, I want to say thank you very much. The kickoff meeting went well. Ensco Microsearch Division, thanks to Tom Plut and Suzanne Nathan. We kicked off today 3 Virginia Online Global programs for Latin America, France, and the Middle East. And we're super excited. Great enterprise, great programs. They've got phenomenal human presence detection systems. And we're looking forward to working with them, ensuring that in these target markets, we can help them get out there and be found by whole new audiences, and then engage with them, make themselves easy to do business with. So we had a great kickoff meeting, and it really was that process you described, Stephanie. Thank you. John sent over an email. We had a couple of almost Zoom calls, Microsoft Team calls, and then guess what? We're moving forward. So it's a seamless process. And thank you. And is this a Q moment? Andrew, Q.
Thanks so much, John. Yeah, and that really dives into one of our final questions here. And I think I'll pass it over to John first, and maybe Stephanie can add on to it. Just in regards to Virginia exporting success stories, are there any that I guess you've seen in the past that might be relevant to the challenges that Virginia exporters are currently facing, and how they've been able to overcome that with say digital solutions? John, please.
Andrew, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Favorite subject. We're very proud to work with Virginia companies. We love working for companies in that long-term business development relationship. I would like to flag up 2 case studies. Hartrue, based in Troy, Virginia, premium tennis court surfaces, consultation equipment, and accessories. So, I mean, these guys are great. I'd like to be a big shout out to Pat Hansen, President, and Brandy Gentry, Marketing Manager. We've worked with them to build the Shopify e-commerce websites for Germany, France, and the United Kingdom. I mean, it's been a great project. We're running the search engine marketing. We're running the social media marketing. I'm very proud to say that the programs have been very successful, really, thanks to the Hartrue team. Year-on-year sales are up 240%, and Wimbledon is taking some of Hartrue's courts. Grass courts in Wimbledon are a tradition, and guess what? It's Hartrue there as well, and we're all very proud of that, very pleased with that, and I hope that Pat will be over in London in July so that we can go to Wimbledon together. So Pat, please book your ticket now. Second one. All right, I do have a second one. Maruka America. Maruka America is based in Glen Alley, Virginia. We built 4 websites for them. North America, the United Kingdom, Belgium, and Japan. And a great team. A shout out to Tak, Rika, and Shintaro. Thank you very much indeed for this opportunity to work with you. Our objective, and they make these big machines. I mean, go and have a look at the Maruka America website. These are big machines. These are big, high-value machines. And the objective was to make 10 machine sales in 12 months. 10 months in, we're at 9 machines. And you can imagine and do the maths in your head, the programs that we propose and shall we say, the cost of those programs compared to the value of each one of these big machines that they're getting out. So bravo to Team Maruka America. And it is a pleasure to work with you long-term, driving that business and those exports for Virginia, the creation of jobs in Virginia. Q to Stephanie.
Yeah, no, John, thanks for that. I'm so glad you guys have worked with so many of our great clients. So glad to hear all the specific stories you mentioned. We see lots of success stories utilizing various parts of our programs and resources. And I won't go into detail on those because I know we're short on time. But just the point is that companies come back to us year after year, and that's our goal. Our goal is to work with companies over a long-term period. We don't want to be transactional to the extent that our clients will allow us to help them long-term. That's what we want to do. And we want our services to evolve with each company as they grow and as they move through their export cycle. I will say we do a survey of all companies who use our services every single year. And we get great feedback on those surveys. Almost 100% of the companies we work with say that they would use our services again, and they would recommend them to others. And that's incredible and super humbling, but it's something we're really proud of because serving our clients, bringing value to them is always our number one priority. Andrew?
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Stephanie. And we've got one last question here to wrap everything up. And, of course, if there's any last minute questions, please feel free to drop it in before we wrap up this session today. But to you, Stephanie, I'm going to ask the question, if there's any listeners out there that are looking to learn more about the VEDP and the programs that we have discussed today, what are some of the next steps for them? And then I can pass it over to John.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, great. Well, yes, please, if you're listening today, if you like what you've heard, if you would like to engage with us at VEDP, or if you know someone else who may or who should engage with us, please reach out. Easiest thing to do right now is just connect with me here on LinkedIn. I am here. You can message me. You can connect with me. Happy to start the engagement that way. I'll get you to the right person on my team. You can also send me an email. at SAG, my last name, SAG@vedp.org. Check out our website, exportvirginia.org. There are ways to connect with us via the website as well. We want to talk to you. We want to answer your questions, but most importantly, get you access to our services so that you can meet your international goals. John, any other last thoughts?
I would just be supportive of that message. I mean, please, folks, I mean, don't waste the opportunity. The VEDP and the team, the international trade managers, they have so much knowledge, so much experience. They've walked this walk so many times before. They've got great programs, the Valley programs and others. Please do take advantage of it. And guess what? Social media gives you that opportunity to engage. Go to LinkedIn, just search. You can search VEDP, search for Stephanie, search for the team. You'll find them, connect with them, and please do take advantage of the programs. Today, there are so many resources here to help you be successful internationally. And Stephanie and the VEDP team, are leading the charge. So, thank you so much, Stephanie. And, I look forward to all of the great things that are coming down the pipe together.
Thank you, John. Same here. And thanks so much, Andrew.
Of course. Wonderful last thoughts there. Thank you both, John, Stephanie. Thank you for the audience. We promised we'd get you out of here in 30 minutes. We're at the 30-minute mark here. So thank you again for attending our live stream. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact any of us through LinkedIn or through our emails. We're happy to answer any questions, be a helping hand, and continue to leverage the online world. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
Thanks, you too.